What's cracking, guys? It's your boy Mickey Moto, back again with another moto vlog. Today is March 22nd, 2026, and it feels like spring has officially arrived. 70-degree sunny day out here in Jersey. Perfect riding weather, and that's just what we're gonna do today. I just took a ride out to a little state park here, Caddis Island State Park, not State Park, what is it called? Let's see, Caddis Island Ocean County Park. Just went for a nice little stroll, got some steps in, got some vitamin D, and now we're just gonna ride around a little bit, enjoy the weather. Today I want to talk about a couple of things. I didn't really have anything moto related to talk about, so today I think we'll just talk about a couple of personal things, honestly. You guys maybe get to get a little bit of a window into my life. What's on my mind? What is on my mind? A couple things are on my mind. Two that I can think about right now. First thing being work. Work is on my mind. And the second thing on my mind is a vacation. Two polar opposites is what I'm thinking about right now. And as polar opposite as work and vacation may seem to be, in my case, the two topics are actually very closely related right now. They go hand in hand. So I guess let me tell you guys a little bit about work first. So your boy is a postdoctoral researcher. That's my job. I work in academia. I'm a biochemist by training, and my job is being a postdoctoral researcher. Let's get some gas first, because little Ducati's a little thirsty. Noise. 4.58. Gas prices are crazy nowadays with this war going on. Fuck war, you know? That's all I gotta say. Yeah. It blows my mind that literally the day and age we're living in, that as a society, whoa buddy, we still resort to war. We still resort to dropping bombs on people and killing people to pretend to solve our political issues, because let's be honest, war is not solving anything, and whoever says otherwise is either a fool or trying to fool you. Anyways, I digress. So as I was saying, a postdoc is when you recently get your PhD and you decide to stay in academia for an extended period, 2 to 4 years usually, where you pretty much continue training and research. That research can be either a similar topic or field that you've been working on during your graduate studies, or a completely different field. And in my case, and in a lot of cases, it's pretty common to stay on as a temporary postdoc position to... What's up, guys? That's a nice Gixxer, man. The classic blue and white. Real nice. Anyways, so really common in my field is essentially during your doctorate, during your PhD, your main goal is to get publications of your research. That is kind of your currency when it comes to getting a job after school. The higher impact and the more publications you have on your CV or on your resume, that's kind of a testament to how well of a job you did during your graduate studies, how good of a scientist or how thorough, how efficient you are, you know. It's there, it's on paper, anyone can read it, it's peer reviewed. There's a very merit-based system, I would say. So very common in my field is that if you don't have a lot of publications during your graduate studies, which happens quite often because the timing of these things is really slow in academia and really dependent on a lot of external factors like, you know, relationship with your boss, your PI, collaborators who are working on that project with you, and so on and so forth. There are a lot of factors that are beyond the individual researcher's control. So, again, very common is that you stay on for a couple more years or a year to, after you graduate, after you defend your research, defend your thesis to a committee of professors, and they deem you worthy of getting a PhD, then you stay on for another year or so to kind of tie off loose ends, you know, just to write up unfinished business and put stuff out for publication, you know, bolster up your resume so that you can get a job. And that's the position that I'm in right now. That's what I've been doing. I got my PhD a little over a year ago now, actually, in 2025. And I've been in the same lab as a postdoc now, just kind of working on tying off loose ends for a couple of my projects and getting 2 more publications done. One of them is heavily reliant on a lot of collaborators from external institutes. And that one I really have very little control over, but it is moving along. And the second project that I have, that one is actually pretty independent. So I'm not relying on any external collaborators. It's really just me and my boss, you know, me and my PI. Which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing if you and your PI can see eye to eye on those kinds of things, and you both have the same common interest of getting the work published. But it can be a bad thing if there are certain power dynamics that are influencing how either you or your PI, or both of you and your PI, are interacting or behaving towards one another for whatever reasons. Let's just say, let's call them human reasons, because we're human and we're imperfect, right? In my situation, I've been working really hard for the past year to get this second project all wrapped up, written up, finalized for publication. And literally I've been doing everything I can from my perspective. You know, it's gotten to the point where I've done all I can. I've written it up from A to Z, and it's at the stage where the PI has to read and revise it and give back comments and suggestions. You know, the review process essentially begins, the internal review process, before you send it out to a journal for peer review. Now, during this internal review process is where a lot of issues can start coming up. For example, if your PI says that the work as it is requires a few more experiments, or another question needs to be answered or whatever, the reality is, as the underling in that relationship, it's very hard to argue against that kind of request. So most often, you can argue, but more often than not, the PI is always going to get their way because they're the boss, and if they don't like how the paper looks, they're not going to submit it for journal entry. And they're not going to do that because, one, it's their reputation as well. Their name is on the paper. And two, it costs a lot to submit to a good journal. It costs, I think, like $5,000 to $7,000 to $10,000 literally just to have your paper published in a journal. That's how science works. That's how screwed up it is. We don't get paid when our paper gets published. We pay for the paper to go under a strict peer review process and to get published. So journals just make bank off of our research, just for publishing it for us, just for putting it out there. It's a really screwed up system, in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of scientists. But it is what it is. I'm sure things may change in the future, but nothing really that I'm going to be able to do about it right now. That's just the system I have to deal with. So essentially, for the past few months, I've been at the stage of internal review back and forth with my advisor, my PI, on this project. And it's gone to the point, obviously I'm sparing a lot of details, but essentially it's gotten to the point where we no longer see eye to eye on this project, and it kind of feels, from my perspective, like she's been sending me on a wild goose chase with a lot of these proposed experiments to just kind of do them, and then as soon as I do them and get the data, she shows that she actually has no real intention to include that data in the manuscript, even once I've incorporated it and made nice figure panels and everything. So that's pretty frustrating. I wish I could be better at explaining it, but it's so specific. I wish I could tell you guys more specifics about exactly the situation, how it is, but I think that will have to suffice. Just know that the position I'm in right now as a postdoctoral researcher is essentially I've been butting heads with the boss, and it's no longer a beneficial situation for me, at least. I'm not advancing in my career the longer that I stay in this lab, and to me it seems like my PI's interests are not common with my own best interests for my career advancement and for my publications. It literally got to the point where it's an unhealthy work relationship. I'll just tell you guys, the situation is like this. I'm technically on a 2-year contract. That's how postdoc contracts generally work. You get a 2-year contract, and it can be renewed at the end of the 2 years. But that 2-year contract itself is contingent on sufficiency of funds. So every contract is tied to, at least my contract is tied to a specific grant that the PI receives, government-funded grant money. And there's a clause in the contract that if that grant runs out of money early, and she can no longer pay me, she can terminate the contract. Or if she deems it necessary to repurpose some of that grant money and then can no longer afford to pay me, you can also terminate me. So essentially, the PI has full control of whether or not they want to terminate you, because they don't have to literally, dry out their funds. They could just repurpose. Now, I'm sure it's not super easy to do that, but that's the gist of it. The PI has basically full control of how they want to organize their funds and who they want to pay, what they want to buy. That's it. So now we get to the juicy part of the story. About a month ago, my PI sent me an email letting me know that the funding for my contract was running out at the end of April, and so that I should plan accordingly. Anyways, so let me backtrack a little bit, and just so we're on the same page. I've been applying to jobs in biotech industry ever since I graduated, and this is something that has been understood between me and my PI. It's a common agreement that I try to do what's best for my, career interest and apply and get a job. Obviously, having my work published is a great advantage for when I apply to jobs, but nonetheless, you could still apply with the resume you have, with the publications that you have, and take your chances, get some interviews maybe, and play the field. So I've been doing that for over a year now. I've been applying to jobs. I have only had maybe 3 interviews so far, no offers. I don't know if you guys know about the job market at all right now, but at least for biotech and pharma industry, which is my field, it is a very bad time to be trying to get a job. With all the federal budget cuts and whatnot, and the distrust in science ever since COVID happened, and with our current Trump administration, it's not a very friendly time to be in the science industry. Most definitely not as a recent graduate, that's for sure. But I digress. And that brings me back to my current situation in the lab, where my PI gives me essentially what is 2 months of notice that my contract's going to be terminated because she's running out of grant money to fund my salary. Initial reaction, I was pissed because, my PI and I have a very long-standing relationship, longer than is usual for academia even, and to kind of just, put someone out on their ass like that after so many years of loyalty and really good faith and good science, a job well done in my opinion, it's a bit screwed up, is what it is. So yeah, I was furious at first. I'm not furious anymore. I'm not pissed off at it anymore. Now I'm more so just amazed. I'm amazed at the situation. I'm amazed at how, welcome to the real world, I guess. That's what I'm amazed about. I'm amazed at how the real world functions, you guys. Surprise, surprise. Silly me. Welcome to the real world. Yeah. There are some more developments in this whole story, and you know what? Maybe I'll touch a bit more on them in later videos. But for today, that's all I wanted to say on the side of work-related things on my mind right now. Okay? And that brings me up to the second topic of the day, which is vacation with a V. Okay? Yo. The boys. And so this is where the topic of vacation and work intertwine, because based on the news of my contract being terminated, at the end of April, your boy decided to turn an L into a W and to take advantage of this situation and go on a little vacation. Now, you might be wondering, what kind of vacation would I plan to take? And the answer is a motorcycle road trip vacation. Something I've always wanted to do, specifically, is a cross-country motorcycle road trip. So that's the second thing that's been on my mind. That's what I've been thinking about and planning these past couple of weeks. And that's what's been keeping my spirits up, keeping me from, being negative, being hard on myself. Is just, the pleasant thoughts associated with planning this kind of adventure, When I was a little kid, my family went on a cross-country road trip, actually. We did so with the 1994 Buick Roadmaster, big estate, or station wagon. That was a, once-in-a-lifetime experience. And this also will be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I'm losing my current job. I don't have another job lined up yet. I have a little bit of money saved up because I've been living at home for the past year or so, after graduating. So this is pretty much the best opportunity I'll have for a while, especially once I settle down and get a job. This would be the best opportunity for me to do this, to take the time, to take like 3 weeks out of my life and just hit the road across the country, stop by a whole bunch of national parks, see some really cool states and cities that I've never been to, and yeah, to do it all on a motorcycle. What could be a more fun experience than that, And I wouldn't be doing it on this Ducati. No, we wouldn't be doing it on the Scrambler. Obviously, I'll be taking my Harley Pan America for that. So, yeah, those two things are on my mind right now, you guys. Work and vacation, apples and oranges. And yeah, I've been watching a ton of other YouTubers, YouTube videos on their road trip planning and road trip routes and guides and tips and strategies, all of that stuff. If you guys have any suggestions for, road trip advice, especially first time around, like how to pack, what to see, what kind of roads to take and all that, yeah, please, let me know, leave your suggestions in the comments below. I would definitely appreciate any advice you guys have. But yeah, I do have a lot more actually already planned. I'm not going to discuss it all today in this video. I'll definitely make a whole separate video for, what I'm packing, how I'm packing the bike, and the route that I'm planning to do. And I'll share that with you guys in another video for sure. But yeah, that's kind of the state of affairs right now. It's looking like middle of May, around that time, or early June is when I'll hit the road for a few weeks and yeah, go from New Jersey to San Diego. Big road trip. It's not gonna lie, it's a little bit scary, but then again, what good adventure doesn't scare you a little bit, I feel like that's what life's about, man. Taking some risks and experiencing what's out there. So yeah, this next month and a half or so is really gonna be grind time for me. Just gonna be hella productive, do as much as I can to get this last publication out, and a lot of planning and prepping for the road trip. I'll keep you guys in the loop on that. besides that, yeah, this was nice. This is good to talk about this out loud. You know, I told a couple of friends already, of course, but it's always good to go through the whole thing again verbally, have it out there in the open. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Alright? Ride safe, have fun, live your life. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.